Blast Music247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
Hello, friends. Happy Thursday, also known as Friday Eve. So, welcome to the podcast this week. This week's session is on home buyers and home sellers. So, it's a real estate session this week, and so we're going to talk about all things real estate. Now, for all my new people, I am Nichon Mitchell, and I'm an attorney and a real estate agent. So, for all my friends who know, I'm licensed in Tennessee and Mississippi, and my Texas law license application is pending. I expect that to come through in the coming months. But in terms of real estate, I have an active Texas real estate license, and I've been a Mississippi broker in the past. So we're going to talk real estate tonight, and then I have a special guest, Teresa Lee. She's a great friend and a wonderful agent. She's on it. She's in the Nashville area, so she's going to cover all things Tennessee, Nashville area real estate, and I'm going to talk about Texas and what I remember from Mississippi. And we're just going to talk. So ask your real estate questions, put them in the chat, and we'll be able to address a lot of the concerns. So we'll cover a lot of things. I think in the first half we're going to talk about home buyers, and then in the second half we'll talk about home sellers. So yes, we can get started, and I will have Teresa come in. She is our agent. She can introduce herself. Teresa, hey.
Hey there, how are you tonight?
Doing good. That's my
Good.
this is my hey girl, hey friend, y'all. And so I have to tell y'all how I met Teresa. So actually, I'm a notary signing agent as well. And Teresa had a closing. She was the real estate agent, and I was the notary. And it was a interesting transaction. But afterwards, we talked for like 2 hours at the signing
It
table.
was.
And
Been
we
friends
like,
ever since.
yes, and been friends ever since. We like immediately hit it
Instant.
off. Yes, it was
Yep.
amazing. So you meet a
hmm
lot of good people doing the notary signing agent work, but also just in real estate, meet a lot of good people. And Teresa is definitely one of them. Her competency is through the roof, and she is a very successful agent. And I think, Teresa, do you do mostly more listing, so for sellers than buyers?
I'm probably closer to 50-50, but maybe a little bit heavier on the listing side, maybe more like 60-40.
Yes,
So,
yes. So that's good. So she'll be able to chime in tonight and help us with the thing. So the first part of what I want to talk about in the home buyers part is something that a lot of people don't consider and they don't think about. I think, as tax paying American citizens, we don't use our resources enough. And I'm all about using the resources and getting all the help that I need. So, Teresa, do you have any experience with like in Tennessee is THDA? Do you have any experience with buyers who've used them for financing?
I have in the past. I have not seen a
Mhm.
lot of them lately, actually.
Okay, yes.
Um, yeah.
So in Tennessee, it's the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. And I got to click through my site to make sure I get the names right. In Texas, it's called the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. And in Mississippi, it's called the Mississippi Home Corporation. These are state agencies whose job, if you get on their website, it'll say, our job is to help our citizens in our state obtain home ownership. They have programs to help you with your down payment, to help you with a low interest mortgage, and to buyer education, all kinds of things. So I would encourage people really of any income level to check out the site because you would be surprised Some of the programs they have don't have an income limit. And even as an attorney, I use THDA to build me a house in Nashville. And at the time, 5% was a decent rate. So I had a 5% rate, but no PMI. So everybody out there that knows that's a homeowner that's paying PMI, that's that private mortgage insurance that you have to pay until you have 80% value in your home. That could be an extra $200 to $350 depending on the price of the house. That could be an extra $200 to $350 added onto your note. So if you don't have to pay that, that's, brings your house note down. And so the state agencies have programs to help people in the state obtain home ownership. That's their whole job. So in Tennessee, what I did was I called up and scheduled an appointment with them, and I asked to come in and talk to them about the programs that they have. And if you study the websites in the state that you live, every state has a state housing agency. You'll be able to see the programs that they offer. So, Teresa, in terms of home buying in
Hmm.
this market, and so Teresa, tell them what market you serve in the Nashville area, what counties, and where you working at.
Yeah, I do Metro Nashville area, so Nashville and the surrounding counties, Sumner County, Wilson, Cheatham, anything that's Middle Tennessee, I guess you would say.
Okay, great. All right. So, in terms of home buying now, in terms of buyers, is it a good time to get out there and start looking in Tennessee? Is it a good time to, start working on things? If you want to buy, is this the time?
This is a great time. Interest rates are starting to come down, and there are actually more listings on the market right now, so it's kind of like buyer's choice.
Okay. So, and that's when we hear maybe a buyer's market, right? That,
Correct. Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And so someone's asking, do you do Giles County?
I do not do Giles County.
Okay. And
So,
then so then the same person asking it saying FHA loan question mark. So yes, there'll be all different kind of loans when you go through the state housing agency. They have preferred lenders and sometimes they even have preferred realtors. And the thing is, you should start there because a lot of their programs, you have to start with them and go through their home buyer education training so that you can qualify. You'll get a certificate that makes you eligible for a special loan. And but it's okay to go through that program anyway because sometimes even if you don't use the state housing agency and you look on your own, if you take a home buyer course, a lender might reduce your rate by maybe like a quarter percent or something, Teresa, maybe something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we talking about FHA?
Uh,
So,
y- yeah, or
yeah.
any, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I just checked. FHA is just under 6% right now. So,
Yeah, and so if you take a home buyer class, a lot of lenders will knock some percentage off of your rate.
hmm
So you'll want to do that anyway, so that you can benefit from that whether you use a state agency or not. But like I said, I used a program, and the other thing that THDA did, and that's Tennessee. So I went to a Nashville office, but it's all throughout the state. Just go to your local office. Is they told me about housing programs in the community that weren't known. So, like, my loan came through Synovus Bank, and they had a particular product that they kept on their books. So, it wasn't like a national or a big mortgage product, but some banks, because they're because they're obligated to offer programs in their community, there's federal regulation that say banks have to have programs for the communities that they serve, they're in. So Synovus had a program on their books that they managed to help people get houses. So the state housing agency will know about these special little unique programs that maybe a mortgage broker wouldn't know about because it's their job to kind of push you into a mortgage where they make money. I hate to say it that way. But okay, so Teresa, in terms of the market in Nashville, what are you seeing for buyers? Are the prices out of I don't want to say range or out of whack, but are they kind of high or where are the prices at?
they're still up there. Sumner County's, about 450,000 average. Davidson County was, I think, hovering right around 500. Um, there are still some first-time homes available in the area. Like I said, right now I'm seeing more and more listings coming on the market.
Okay, more listings. So people are wanting to sell and get out. So when there's more
Correct.
listings, then people who want to buy, that's how we get into a buyer's market, right?
We do. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So do you
So
think the Nashville area is in a buyer's market?
I think we're on the buyer's side. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a buyer's market
Okay.
all the way.
Right, right.
Because the home prices are not coming down. They're still going up.
Okay.
We
And
just have more on the market.
so in terms of it being on the buyer side, that translates to meaning what? That buyers can they have better chances to negotiate.
That
They
yes,
like what does that
yes,
mean?
they have more to choose from, and then they can negotiate more as for like closing costs, things that they need, you know, contributed towards the transaction.
Okay, great. And so I wanted to have Teresa on here because I know I have a lot of, Tennessee followers. And so you can start to look at the Tennessee market and what's going on. If you're interested in getting out of your apartment and upgrading, there's a lot of reasons to go ahead and buy. If your rent is at a certain price and your house note could be close to that, even if it's a little bit more, it makes sense to go ahead and buy. So let me tell you, the last house I had in Nashville, because I was single, it was before I got remarried, and I said I wasn't buying a house again until I got married because I didn't want the upkeep as a single woman. But my rent was $1,600 a month. My house note ended up being $1,800 a month, so just $200 more. I had a 4-bedroom house built brand new in Nashville, and I held on to it for 3 years before I moved to Dallas. And when I sold that house in 3 years, I had it appreciated. I made $130,000 from selling that house in 3 years. So people, when I bought that house, when I moved from the apartment and bought that house, it actually was a business decision. It was, hey, I'm paying rent and I'm just giving money away when I could be building equity in something. Did I know that house would appreciate that fast? I didn't think it would appreciate that fast. But who couldn't use $130,000 3 years from now? Depending on what the market will do. But I'm just saying, normally over time, owning property is a good investment because over the long run, it appreciates. Um, so that's just something to think about. Like buying a house doesn't always have to be a personal decision. I bought that house, it was just me in it. Three of the doors stayed closed. I had a 4-bedroom house. I didn't even live, I probably only lived in half of it. I took really good care of it. And it was a good business decision. And that money helped me change my life because I was ready to leave Nashville and start new somewhere else, and that money helped me do exactly that. So, that's just something to think about. It doesn't always have to be a personal decision. It can be a business decision to say, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to sit in it, I'm going to let it appreciate, or I'm going to fix it up, or, whatever, so you can think about it that way. So, okay. So, you said Sumner County is at 450. What parts of Davidson County, are moving or hot? What's going on? What parts are used to be hot, but now are kind of on the decline or whatever? What's going on in Davidson County?
Davidson County hasn't slowed down as far as areas go. So, you've always got downtown area, East Nashville, that kind of stuff.
Rivergate, Antioch,
Hmm.
kind of is it, do you do Clarksville?
I do go out to Clarksville.
Okay, yeah, because I know a lot of people have moved from Nashville to Clarksville.
Yeah, there are a lot of people moving to outer areas, even Portland and stuff.
Yes, Portland. I did
Yeah,
some
yeah.
closings out there as a notary signing agent. I did Portland and White House. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so
I will
what's
I
mhm,
will tell you, first time home buyers, what I've noticed recently, actually, is the builders are building larger townhomes to accommodate
mhm.
and to help with the pricing, so they're lower price than a single family, but they're larger now. So I think
Oh, okay.
a lot of families are going towards the new build townhomes, because they're like 1,700 square feet now they're building.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
so what are they? So what are they running then on average?
You can get some of those townhomes for about 350 actually.
Oh wow. Well,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Wow. That is
yeah,
good. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
So
better.
whereas a house would be close to 500,
Yes, absolutely.
So
Which is what I'm
plus
saying.
they're offering incentives. So
Okay.
seems to be
What
a
do the incentives look like to the buyers?
ooh, so that's going to vary by the builders and what they're offering, but I would say on average I'm seeing, ten to $15,000, offered like to pay closing costs and that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Now, people, friends out here, I will tell y'all. And this is not to brag. Everything I tell y'all is to just give y'all examples. We're going look. I've had four houses, five houses. I think I've built three houses so far. I think I built three, and the reason why I build is because of the builder incentives. And
Mhm.
so the builder will pay my down payment and all that kind of stuff. They'll chip money in.
Mhm.
They pay the realtor. They pay everything. And so you know, so look, if I'm a buyer and I go to a seller, just someone has a house and they want to sell it, and I have to, hey, will you pay my closing costs? A lot of them will pay the agent, but some people will offer 6%. Some sellers only want to pay 5%. Some are, so but the builder's just gonna pay a lot of times. Now Ryan Home
Mhm.
was an exception. They didn't pay. They only paid 2% in terms of the split, so a total of four. So in any event, but the builder will pay a lot of that, and you can get a brand new house where you can pick the floors, the cabinets, the
Correct.
carpeting. You can pick what you want. You can pick the outside, the design, and all that kind of stuff. So don't think you can't get a brand new house because it's a brand new house. And a lot of times, so like you can have the house built, like, hey builder, I want this lot, I want this plan, this is the carpet I want and everything, right? But a lot of times you can get something called an inventory house, which is a house a builder has built. It's already sitting there ready for someone to come along and buy it. They picked everything, so the house is complete. The cabinets and flooring and everything is in it. They're waiting on somebody to buy it. That's called an inventory house. Now I know out here in the community I'm in now, in Texas, there's some inventory houses that's been sitting for a year. Teresa, tell the people
Mhm.
he ready to get rid of those because he's got to pay taxes,
They are
and he's got
definitely ready to get rid of them.
yeah, he's got to pay
Mhm.
expenses every month that house sits finished on the lot. He's got to pay. And
Costing them money. Yep.
yes, so a house that's been sitting for a year, the builder is the he I'm talking about, has a whole incentive for getting that house moved. And I know the house next door to us was reduced probably almost $100,000 in order to get it to move. And the house is like probably 1,000 square feet bigger than mine. And I was kind of a little salty because they end up paying they they ended up paying, I want to say less, like either the same price I paid for my house or just like a few thousand less, but still it's 1,000 square feet bigger and everything else. But anyway, that house sat because the people built it and then they couldn't sell their other house, and so the builder got stuck with the house and he reduced the price, and there's another house around the corner that's just the same. So I would encourage
Mhm.
you all to check in communities that it's in the price range you want to be in, and you can talk to them about building because a lot of times they'll give incentives on that. We got an incentive to build. We got, and still feel free to negotiate. The price is on the paper, but still negotiate with them. And then look at the inventory houses and see what deal you can get on that. If they don't want to move on an inventory house, if they don't want to move on the price, walk away and go find something else because it's too many other builders and other people that will negotiate. What do you think about that, Teresa?
I totally agree. So they are definitely negotiating. The builders are right now.
Yes.
So I've heard of them. I was in one the other day and they dropped it by 20,000 just while I was standing there.
I know.
And I was like, okay. The other thing too to note is that they're also offering lower interest rates on their loans. So,
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
so some of them I think were like 4.99%.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a
Mhm.
lot of things with the builder is negotiable. And a lot of times too, if you use their services, you do save money. Now, when I had that Ryan house built in Nashville, they got real salty with me because I didn't use their lender. But
Mhm.
I had a better deal that I went out and found myself. So sometimes the builder creates a situation where he has this insulated process where you can buy the house, you can get the financing, the title insurance, the everything you need. It'll be all in this process, right? But that's not always the best deal. It could be, but not always. But it's all right there for you, and you can negotiate all of that. And you can walk away with something. And so if you're looking at a new build like that, you could still, and I would recommend anybody feels like they need to get an agent, and have us go with you and help you negotiate all of that part. You're still going to pick your own cabinets and floors and this, that, and the other, but you would be surprised. And so for me, when I was working as a buyer's agent in Mississippi, and even now when I'm starting my real estate career up here in Texas, my passion is helping people get either their first house or get a house when they didn't think they could. I'm the agent. Now, this is just me. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm the agent that's going to work with you while you fix your credit and while we get stuff together. Because a lot of times what happens, you'll go to an agent and say, okay, I'm looking for a house. And then they'll run they'll say, okay, well, go to a lender, get your credit checked, all that kind of stuff. And if your credit ain't where it is, they're just like, come back when your credit is right. But a lot of people don't know what to do. So I've had a lot of success in walking on that journey with people, and then they will buy a house from me because, they just don't know what to do. But usually, a realtor has a toolbox of resources. We have go-to lenders that we like to recommend. You can use who you want to use. We have, go-to people for home inspections and this and that we've had good working relationships with. So that's just something to think about as well. And I would just say, Teresa, what do you think about when somebody's picking a realtor? Are there any questions they should ask when they pick a realtor?
I think a lot of it has to do with initial connection, and the questions to ask are yes, what is their experience? How long have they been working in the business? The referrals on their lenders, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah. So, I mean, it is about a connection and the realtor being willing to understand what it is you're looking for, what you need, them being able to, get out there basically and materialize what it is. But it's important to have a good working relationship with your realtor because you spend a lot of time together and it's an important transaction. And you don't want to be like, I can't stand them like every time.
they need to understand what your goals are and what your lifestyle is,
Yes.
and be able
Yes.
to make that a fit. It's not just bedrooms and bathrooms. It needs to be,
Right.
they need to have that initial conversation of your lifestyle and why you're moving and all of those
Yes.
kind of things and your budget and be able to explain, it's not just about the monthly payment, it's also about closing fees, insurance, inspections, all of those other fees, and be able to explain all that to a buyer.
Yes. And other things, if you're a buyer, that you should look at is if you have children, you can get on the district's website and look at the performance of schools.
Mhm.
So do that. You can also go to the police precinct and pull the call history for the neighborhood that you're looking to move into.
Mhm.
You can look at the tax structure for the house, what the kind of the assessments have been for the houses around the one you want to buy. You don't want to have any regrets when you move to a certain neighborhood or a certain place, or you don't want to move. You can also go to the county planning department and see, are they getting ready to build a Costco across the street and now traffic is getting ready to be bad. So if you forget everything I just said, a good realtor will know this. And that's
Mhm.
why you want to pick a realtor who, like Teresa said, is interested in your lifestyle and what your goals are, why you want to move. Do you have children who going to be, I mean, you're like, oh, I want to move somewhere with a playground and where my kids are safe. But if they're going to be grown in 2 years, you know, maybe
Right.
you don't want to move there. And so a realtor with a lot of experience can help you think through those things too, and think about things you haven't thought about. And they may know of better communities that you haven't been exposed to yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
reason why it's important to get a realtor. Do you want to add to that, Teresa?
Answer what? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
what I just said. No. Can you see
Oh.
the question on the screen, Teresa? You can see it. I'm selling
Mm,
my house in Nashville, and my husband
oh,
is a first
it's
time home buyer. Okay, I'll read. Okay. So selling a house in Nashville, husband is a first time home buyer. We want to build in Giles County on family land. How can we make this work? He wants a manufactured home and they are pricey. 2 seconds before I forget, because I'm old and I get forgetful. We just had this conversation off air with somebody, but first time home buyer, you're eligible for that if you haven't owned a home in 3 years or if you've never owned a home, right? Literal first time home buyer, like I've never owned a house in my life. And so I want to buy a house. But like first time home buyer, if you haven't owned a home in 3 years, you are eligible for first time home buyer status in any of these programs you see. When you get on these state websites that y'all gonna get on, because now you know about it, you get on these state websites and look for these programs. Okay, so Teresa, they want to build in Giles County on family land. How can we make this work? He wants a manufactured home and they are pricey. So this is, look, so I have a
so
comment about that, but guess what? It's not about me. That's what he wants, but I think we need to explore why he wants a manufactured home. And then you need to look at how those are viewed legally in the state of Tennessee, and then how they're viewed in terms of real estate in the state of Tennessee. Teresa, go ahead.
okay, so to answer the question on how to make that work, I think your best bet would be to go to a local bank that's there and establish a relationship, and they would be able to point you in the right direction on. I'm assuming that you're asking how to get a loan to make that happen. So hopefully that's answering that question. The local bank or the manufacturer of the manufactured home.
Hmm. Okay,
Um,
let me add the legal
so
spin to that.
okay.
The first thing is make sure your deed to that property is correct. I got a case right now in Mississippi where I got to get a client an easement because their property is landlocked. And when the parcels were divided, the deed wasn't done correctly and the easement wasn't provided and all that kind of stuff. Make sure that your property, the deed is correct, that the easements are right. Make sure everything is good to go in terms of that for you to build. That's going to be by a survey, that you have a surveyor come out. Now, to Teresa's point, and then we'll have our first break after I finish answering this. To Teresa's point, you want to go to a local bank. Probably, Teresa, do you think preferably a credit union, or you don't think that it matters in Giles County?
Um, yeah, so I'm not real familiar with Giles County, but
Mhm.
probably a local bank itself.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think a credit
sometimes,
union.
yeah, sometimes a credit union is a better mix. So I would say pick three banks though. Make sure one's
Hmm.
a credit union, and go talk to them about what it is you're trying to do, and then see what financing or programs or whatever they have. Now, the state websites that I told you about in each state, the housing ones, they have programs to help you build a house. They also have some of them have programs about manufactured housing. So I would look there first just to understand what help I could get there. And then, well, when I'm saying first, let me say also, I would look there and I would also look at the banks. You're kind of running two things at the same time.
Hmm.
Okay. And then if it's a manufactured house, that's easy enough because you can just pick a plan off of, from their product lineup. And then, they'll talk to you about delivery and all that kind of stuff. Um, there's manufactured housing, there's modular housing. I would tell you to look at that, but then also look at a traditional build. But I'm just saying that without knowing why he specifically wants a manufactured house. Sometimes I know in the state of Texas, you have to look at there's certain conditions on is a manufactured home actually real property on land, or is it property like a car? because they can be moved, right? So you want to look at that as well. How are they viewed in Tennessee? So, oh, you have an FHA loan pre-approval. Okay, well, that's good. You have an FHA loan pre-approval. As long as you're happy with that loan, that's good. But that doesn't mean that maybe you couldn't get something better, from the manufactured home producer himself, or through another thing. Because like right before we closed on this house we have, I know we at least had 2 loans pending, and we ended up at the last minute going with Navy Federal because they have an excellent program very quickly. Navy Federal has a program where you don't have to refinance your house. You can just pay a $250 fee and they will drop the rate for you to whatever the new lower rate is. And that's a huge deal because whenever you refinance, it could take anywhere from, on the low end, 36 to 60 months. So 2.5 to 5 years to recover the cost of that refinance. So Navy Federal has this really great program where you don't pay that. You just pay $250 and they'll drop the rate. You don't have to refinance. So because of that, and Navy Federal doesn't have PMI on any of their loans. So we, at the last minute, end up going with Navy Federal, even though we had teed up a loan through the state of Texas housing agency that I'm telling you about. We had a loan teed up there where, they were going to give us the down payment and all that kind of stuff. But so anyway, okay. So all of you all that know that on the podcast, and for those of you who are new, the Blast platform is a platform that promotes musicians, and we take a break to hear the song, a song that's chosen from an up and coming musician. And while we're on break, you guys can develop your questions. You can look up your state website that I'm talking about. See if you have any questions about that while we're on here. And then when we come back, we'll talk more home seller in terms of what to do to get your house ready to list, what to, ask the agent about before you list and all that other kind of stuff. We'll do that on the other side of the break. We'll talk home seller.
All righty. Well, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for the tips, ladies. And tonight, this is a dear friend of mine representing, I know he's in North Carolina. I don't know if it's Durham, but this is my man, Sean Streeter, and this song is called Mellow. Let's check it out.
Man, got a brother out here in Raleigh, man. Shout out to that brother Sky High Fresh. Y'all know what it is. Well, my mama called me Marty and my grandma called me son. I'm just a brother on the mic device, known to get it done. Hold it down like Reverend Run when he raising up his seeds. A brother got a heart full of love and free of greed. Get the work done through the son, a chosen one. Through him we all begun, through him we all become. Some of all blessings through the words of all lessons. My mind is a weapon that I use with discretion, not for your impression. See, I dealt with my depressions through the scriptures of Yah. When you see me, you are seeing a better version Jamar. Just a man after righteousness, no fear of no viruses. The blood of Christ on my life is truly what I'm writing with. Killing demons, interceding, Holy Spirit leading to positions that I'm leading when I'm beating the flock. Just a servant out here working while I'm touching the block. Souls thirsty and they hungry, you gon' feed them or not? Or try to scram for the gram as you lie for the props? I can look in your eyes and see the soul of an eye. That mellow, yeah. I'm an educated son of the only true son. Elohim represents, it's only just begun. Linked up with my brothers, now we brighter than the sun in the solar system. Now my brother's spitting what he is, representing with my kids and my we is on the earth. Every single second on this turf is home birth. I mean, home turf, homie, is a birth of blessing. Hope you rewind that so you can get the lesson.
See, my uncle called me Shiny and my mama called me Son. I'm known for making beats and flipping rhythms on the drums. Mix the hi-hat with the snares, yeah, that's my native tongue. Then I mix that with the spirit of God and I become one of one. Excalibur, slicing up the ways of the evil one. Remember when we used to go to Eastland just to pick up something? Shooting my shot at any culture like I'm feeble, son. Not realizing the enemy had me feeble, son. In my mindset, said, mine gone. At that time, NETI song was my theme song. Rubber band, man. Yeah, that was my motivation. Top back on 24s, that was the correlation. Until God touched my soul and gave me separation. Yeah, in the word of God, I found my declarations. I started speaking that word, found my levitation. On anything that's negative, found my elevation.
I'm an educated son of the only true son. Elohim representing, it's only just begun. Linked up with my brothers, now we brighter than the sun in the solar system. Now my brother's spitting what he is, representing with my kids and my wheels on the earth. Every single second on this turf is home birth. I mean, home turf, homie, is a birth of blessing. Hope you rewind that so you can get the lesson.
Yes, indeed. And that was NEMG. Sean Streeter is one of the artists of them. And that was The Mellow. And if you are an independent artist, a spoken word poet, or up and coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you too can go to blastmusic247.com, register as a unlimited fan, and get access to hundreds of independent music. Blast, we're constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to you.
Yay. All right, groovy. Okay, so alrighty. So now concentrating more on home sellers. And so someone that wants to list their house, Teresa. What do you okay, so in terms of things, like people have their things in the house. What
Mm-hmm.
things should they leave in the house? What things should they maybe pack away?
Uh,
What are your thoughts on clutter, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff?
yep. So selling a house is a lot of preparation work. That's really where it's done. And I say to focus on three words. It's really what I typically tell sellers, and it's declutter, minor repairs, and then clean, clean, clean,
Yeah,
and
okay.
clean, and then clean more.
Yes, yes, yes. You had a house on the market, and Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so and yeah, we ended up with a storage unit of stuff we just took out that
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Less is better.
Okay,
You know.
yes.
So.
So
Hmm.
what do
And
you in terms of staging? Yeah, what do you think about that?
so, yeah, I do. I actually have a stager walk through that first works for the stuff that's already in the house. And she does a beautiful job at that. It's like magic. She just moves things around for people. Once I get the clutter out, then I can have her come in,
Mhm.
and she works with what's in the house. Of course, if there's not staging or any furniture in the house, then yes, staging is a good thing to do. So it does help.
Okay, and so when you go meet with someone who's thinking about listing their house, how does that listing meeting go? What do you talk to them about? What happens?
Again, the first thing I want to address or talk to them about is, what's going on, what are their goals, and that kind of stuff, and where they're gonna end up moving to, you
Hmm.
know. And then we talk about, what's going on in the market and the pricing and that kind of stuff. And then, I walk through the house with them, point some things out if they're, what minor repairs need to be done
Hmm.
or any maintenance issues that, have not been brought up to par, then, I discuss that with them as well, you
And
know.
so, how do you determine the listing price for a house?
So my ideal situation is I can find some clothes sales in the neighborhood or very, very close within the last 3 months, just because the way that our market is right now.
Mhm.
So I look at those, and then I also look at our active competition,
Mhm.
and kind of try to find something that's very comparable, same house, same square footage, and be able to make adjustments on what they have and don't have to be able to come out with an accurate price.
Okay, so once you have that discussion about their goals, why they want to sell, where they're moving to, the price of the house, and all that kind of stuff, you enter into a listing agreement with them.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
And then so they
It's
sign an agreement that allows you to list their house on the market and to sell it. So where do you list the house? Where do you post it at so that people can see it?
the marketing. I have a ton. So my first main thing to do is actually professional photography,
Um,
and videos, and I do drone.
mhm,
And then of course I'm across all social media platforms. And then I do email marketing, calls, open houses.
Oh wow.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I do some circle prospecting in the neighborhood, calling people,
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, informing them of the property and inviting them to the open house. And
Okay.
that's working really, really well.
Okay. And so on average, how long are you seeing properties stay on the market listed?
Yeah, they're staying a little bit longer now. I'm gonna say about 30 days.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
Lord, look at that.
yeah.
That's not as long as I thought you were gonna say. Okay. I thought you were gonna
Okay.
say months or something.
Well, that's longer than a couple years ago, when it sold
Yeah.
the first day.
Yeah. I was saying like 2 days. Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking. You list something one day and it would sell the next
It was nuts with 30 offers.
day. Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we
So
see well,
I will say that, if the house is priced right and in good condition, it does sell pretty
okay.
quickly.
So
Yeah.
pricing is important.
That's probably the most important thing, you
That's
know.
worth illuminating and talking more about because this is what I want to say. And I kind of said this in a previous podcast when somebody asked me about selling the house. But look, um, so the main thing is a house is worth what a willing purchaser will pay for it.
That's
Okay.
absolutely correct.
Okay. A house may not be worth what you feel like your house is worth because you've been there 18 years and you raised all your kids there.
That's
So
true.
so 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 be kind to your realtor
Hmm.
and come up off the feelings that you have about what your house is worth.
Hmm.
Because for various reasons, I mean, your expectation and what you feel about it might align with the actual price that a realtor will tell you they should list it for, but it may not. And there are some things that we value more than what the market values it. Okay. Like in the Nashville house I told you about, I had Closets by Design put me a custom closet in. Um, I needed that for my OCD. I need my purses to be in the right place. I need my shoes. I need my. So that was something for me. And it may have been important to another female buying the house. But what if that was a single man looking at the house? He might have been like, I could care less about the
Nope.
closet. What does the backyard look like? So it's different things are important to different people. And there's some main general things that should also always be taken care of, like the yard and different things, the siding and
Hmm.
all kinds of stuff in the house, right? But
The roof, the HVAC, all of those are maintenance
yes, the
items.
water heat, yeah,
Windows are maintenance
windows,
items.
yes,
So,
yes. And there's some
and then
things.
there.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there are some what I call line items that appraisers add value for. So,
Yes,
which would be like a covered porch, a back deck,
hmm
those are worth putting the money into, you
yes.
know.
And so when you're meeting with the realtor and you want to sell, there are going to be some things that generally in the market don't add value across the board to house. It only had value to you when you added it.
Yeah, some things I say kind of increases the saleability, but it's not a number,
Right.
you know.
Just the
So,
yes, for sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But a lot of people are focused on
hmm,
the number. They're like, well, my house is worth this.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
they're focused on a different time period. Like we were just talking about when houses were selling
right.
in the day.
Yeah.
And you can't carry that expectation out because another truth about real estate is it's very local because like I was asking Teresa, like Teresa made a comment about Sumner County. Then I said, what about Davidson County? You could be 4 miles apart and the market could be different. I mean, it's very local and very community driven. And just because something was a certain way a year ago or 5 months ago, doesn't mean that's what it is now. And you really have to trust the realtor in what they're seeing out here in the market and not hold on to I have the same complaint as an attorney, what somebody else told you. I'm like, well, then,
Right.
like,
It's the
like,
same thing.
yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And the market does change very quickly. And, and like you
Yes.
said, different areas.
Yeah. And it could change why your house is listed. I mean,
Hmm. Oh, absolutely.
yeah, the market could change why you have
Hmm.
your house listed. And that's why you want someone. That's the other reason you need to have a good relationship with your realtor, is because you want to believe they're working in your best interest, and you want to believe that they want to help you. Now, look, they have every incentive to sell your house because they don't get paid unless they sell your house. And so they have every incentive to sell your house. So nobody's dragging their feet, and
Yeah.
there's not some huge conspiracy amongst realtors. Um,
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
is that you have to be open to the advice that's given when you're selling. And then I would just say to take the frustration and the pain point out of it. And I'm speaking from experience. Like Teresa said, there's some things that, like, if she meets and then walks through with you, the things that are suggested to fix, those are things you should focus on. And you might have to have
Yes.
that meeting before, like, so we just described the process. She'll come to the house, walk through, take pictures, you sign an agreement. It may be that you get that advice and she says, hey, you need to fix windows, because guys, things like windows, like the person before said they had an FHA approval, like certain things FHA won't sign off on and let you get if it's not in good repair, like windows.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
and then if something is, like, I believe, Teresa, isn't it like if an appliance is at the end of its useful life, like a water heater and stuff like that? Like,
It could be. They're primarily going to look for health and safety issues. So
right,
anything like that, carpet that's lifted will need to be tacked down or replaced.
right.
That would be a
Yes.
tripping hazard.
A fire,
You,
smoke alarms have to work,
mm-hmm.
different things like
Yes.
that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, if you're
Handrails.
yes, handrails, anything that's like she said, health or safety for sure, or the integrity of the house, like, because the
Hmm.
windows, that's
Right.
if too much air is seeping out or windows are too old, they're not going to approve it. So some of the stuff you have to
Right.
get just for FHA approved loan, depending on, like, if that's what the buyer had, and a lot of buyers have FHA backed loans.
Correct.
So that's something to consider. So you may have, Teresa, a realtor come by, they'll do the walkthrough, and then you need to make those repairs before you can list. Because if you list, so say, like she says, you need to replace 3 windows, because it may not be all of them, right? But that's not saying you can't list. But if they're windows that have like that fog in them, or like that kind of problem, like a buyer will see that, and that may be a turnoff to them, because the buyer will know, wait, those windows are going to have to be replaced. Now, it may not turn them off, because you can always negotiate in the deal. I'm going to give you the money for the windows, buyer, and then you can replace the windows, yourself or whatever. But it may be a turnoff to people. So the stuff that the realtor suggests to fix, you may want to fix before you list. What do you think about that, Teresa?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely to repair anything prior to listing as much as you can,
Yes.
and those are the items that when I walk through, I'll say, this really needs to be done before you list, and
Yes.
then there's going to be other items that I do point out and say that might come up in an FHA appraisal, and they have the option then, to fix it then or wait and see if the appraiser calls for it.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see. Selling. What else? So the list price, getting the home ready. She'll take pictures and do drone. That's
Drone.
pretty standard. Oh, when we talked about where the house will be listed, so it's going to be listed on what's called the MLS, the multiple listing service. That's
Hmm.
what all agents have access to. But also, because I thought when we listed our house here, it seemed like it also went on Zillow and some
We do
other
have
places. How does that
IDX agreement, so it goes out to all of those websites, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin,
work?
Realtor.com.
Mhm.
It goes out to so many different ones. So
Okay.
it's syndicated.
Okay, alrighty. And then before because we got about 10 minutes left, but before we get off, if you're, of course, in this central or Nashville area, Teresa, do you want to have a number, that a phone number where they can reach you, if they need an
Sure.
agent?
Yeah, sure.
Go
It's
ahead.
615-260-7136.
And then we'll
I'm
get
on
we'll
Facebook.
get that
Yep.
put
You can
in
find
the
me on Facebook as well, Teresa Lee. And I'm on Instagram, TikTok.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Something I got
Facebook's probably the best for messages and that kind of stuff.
let's see. Do Clarksville. Okay. Yes.
Can probably
Yes.
talk
Clarksville.
about
Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say we could probably talk about when an offer is received, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely. Yes.
and the critical points of that, it's not always all about price. So good realtor is gonna help you evaluate, the terms, the financing, what kind of loan it is. Like we were talking about the repairs, a conventional loan, we don't have to worry about, some of those repairs, so if the seller didn't do the repairs and they get two offers in, an FHA one and a conventional one, I would go over those two options and scenarios with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so closing timeline is another critical one. Those are the most important, and then we can deal with the other time frames in the contract as far as inspections and stuff.
So, what's a seller looking at in terms of the cost that sellers are paying these days? Because that can change too with the market. What sellers are
It
willing
does.
to pay.
It
So
does.
these
Yeah.
days, what are sellers willing to pay?
So I'm seeing them willing to pay a lot of the closing costs, agreeing to do that,
Okay.
in addition to doing a small price reduction.
Mm-hmm.
And of course paying the buyer agent commission, you know.
Yes, buyer agent commission. Yes.
Yeah.
Which,
So
yes,
and
commissions are negotiable. So
correct.
what you pay the seller, like if you're the seller and you're getting a listing agent, you will negotiate with them what you want to pay, for the service. That could be anything from they'll negotiate, or they could be like any other service provider and say, I have a fee for the service I provide.
hmm
So negotiating means that you ask for something different. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to do what you ask them different. So
Right. Yeah.
negotiation, that
Yeah.
kind of deal. So keep that.
So the relatively new thing too is those commissions being decoupled, So like in
Yes,
our listing agreement, we don't do the buyer commission anymore. So that's a contract between the buyer and their agent. So
absolutely,
and whatever they ask for can vary, you know,
absolutely, absolutely.
So
And yeah, it's kind of a whole new world for
hmm
commissions and buyer agent payments and different things like that. It's kind of a whole new world that's still being felt out and still being, because it used to be, um uh it was a look, it was always negotiable. It's just the public
right.
didn't have that feeling. So a huge lawsuit was had against the National Association of Realtors. But
Right.
to be clear, it was always negotiable.
That's
Um,
correct.
but this ugly rumor went around that you have to pay 6%.
No.
It's an ugly rumor
Yeah,
that you have
yeah.
to pay 6%. Okay. And so like I said, a big lawsuit ensued. In the short story of what came out of that is now it's very, very clear in contracts. No longer does a contract say, okay, I'm the seller, right? And I have an agreement that okay, well, we'll pay 6%, 3% to my agent and 3% to their agent. It's no longer like that. So what Teresa's saying is when she comes, she's going to have a discussion with you about her services, everything she offers, and what that costs. You can negotiate with her, and it's a case by case thing, or she just may have a flat rule that, hey, this is what I charge or whatever, but you can negotiate that, right? But
hmm
but no longer in the contract is it saying, well, I'm going to pay the seller agent this and I'm going to pay the buyer agent that. So now the buyer, if you're a buyer and you want to buy a house, you have to have a conversation with your agent about how this buyer's agent is going to get paid. And does that mean you're going to pay them out of your pocket, or are they going to be paid some, just some kind of way out of the deal? So what Teresa's saying is she's seeing some, closing costs being paid. And then are you seeing some buyer agent fees being paid?
I'm saying all of those being
Yes,
paid as
yes,
well.
you're right. Yes.
Yeah, both being paid right now.
And it's just accounted for differently now. And
hmm
so that's a conversation that's going to be new, and everybody's kind of still feeling their way through the practicality on the ground of doing that. But trust and believe, these brokerages got their documents together, because that lawsuit that
Yes,
lawsuit
they
made,
do.
yeah, that lawsuit made everybody get their life right
hmm
on these
hmm
fees,
Yeah,
how they're
yeah.
represented inside of a contract.
hmm
So that's very important. I'm going to stress and say it again. Fees on what you pay a seller's agent and a buyer's agent are negotiable. They have always been negotiable. This is just about when you don't know, you don't know. And this is the other kind of dangerous part too about taking advice from your cousin or your friend, you know, instead of kind of really digging in and figuring out. Sometimes that could be good advice, but but that's how this thing propagated of, well, no, you got to pay 6%. Well, I had to pay my agent 6%, but yeah, I paid my agent 6% too. And then everybody thought they had to pay 6%. And that just wasn't true, but leave it to litigation to get some things cleared up. So, so that's how that happened. Oh, Teresa, how long have you been an agent?
A little over 25 years.
Yes.
hmm
Teresa has raised 3 girls and had a whole living out
I
here in these
did.
real estate
Yep.
streets.
Yep. Single mama raising 3 girls doing real estate.
Yes, yes, you've been
So,
out here,
you know.
yes, and has some pretty big listings. You have listings
hmm Oh
in the
yeah,
$1 million
I
range.
do. I do. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all the way.
So,
So from what to a
yep.
million?
I go
Yeah.
from, yeah, I can, well, I just sold one for 100,000.
Yeah, see, like
So I'm a hundred
full circle.
thousand up to almost 4 million.
Oh, right. See, so
Yeah.
she has some great listings.
hmm
Well, they're all great listings, but in
Yeah.
the price range is there, where she knows market, like she's done it for 25 years, and
hmm
it's been the a lot of what she does. So like I said, I got to meet her just from the transaction that we had together. So that right there was everything. That was really great. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. So the other thing too, earlier when I mentioned to get on the website for buyers and to look at the offerings in the on the state website, it would be good for sellers too to also do that. And just because sometimes it's just good to know, to kind of throw out there, like if there's a buyer, or if your house is having a hard time selling, it can help you come up with ideas on how to sell your house. So if the two things to take away from this show that were very, very important, it is very much underused. There are funds in these programs to help people with their down payment, and sometimes you have to pay it back. But look, I looked on I think it was Mississippi had a 0%. It's free money for the down payment. You pay it back, but you don't pay it back with interest. Now, there are some programs where you do not pay back the down payment. They have several different programs, and these agencies exist to increase home ownership and to help you guys get a house. Please get on there at the agency in your state. In Texas is the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. In Mississippi, it's Mississippi Home Corporation. And in Tennessee, it's the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. But in any other state that you're in, just type in like State of Arizona Housing Agency, State of Minnesota Housing Agency. All of these agencies are off there's the little sister agencies of the National Housing and Urban Development. They get their funding from the federal government. We are all taxpayers out here paying these taxes. We need to benefit from these services and get on there. Let's see, my daughter's been selling deep and not alone. So she's still a first time buyer. Yes. we could probably make that work. Yes. We could probably make that work with the right lender. So yes, we can talk about that. Okay. So get on those websites. If you guys need help, reach out to me. I'm putting it in here. Oops, 5963132 Better put the number in here right, or y'all gonna be mad at me. 63132. Now, y'all, I don't want y'all to feel like I'm switching up my email. I'm gonna say this real quick, and then we're gonna get off this podcast. My Mitchell Legal Outlook is disconnected, and I got an appointment to get it back connected. My Outlook, the server is disconnected from my Microsoft platform. So I don't want to miss any messages. So I put that email address now. I know I've been directing y'all to Nichon at mitchell-legal.com, but something's wrong with my Outlook platform. And so I have to have a meeting with a tech guy to do that, because I'm not tech. I'm legal, right? Okay. So get with me if you guys need help navigating these state websites or whatever, but that's what we do. So I want to thank Teresa so much. That's my girl. She is awesome. I'm glad I was able to get her on here to help me talk about real estate with you guys. Hit her up if you're in the Nashville area, Middle Tennessee, and she can help you. Hit me up in Texas. I have a Mississippi realtor. If you guys need one in Mississippi, just connect with me and I will connect you to her. And everybody, make sure you have a great night. I have enjoyed it. We will connect next week. I believe my next week episode is on child support, custody, and divorce, child support, and custody. That's what next week is about. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.